Hello, and welcome to Native Americans Still Live Here, a celebration of America's original people. I am Carrie. I'm from the Mount Airy Branch Library of Carroll County Public Library. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about history and how to find out who originally lived in this area of Maryland and Carroll County. But mostly I'll be connecting you with resources where you can learn more about contemporary Indigenous people and Native American groups who are very much still alive and an active part of this country. And then a little bit later, I'll be introducing you to some really fantastic Own Voices titles that we carry here at CCPL. And they're going to be from the YA section, so for tweens and teens and really adults alike. These are books that are written by present-day Native American authors and highlight their unique and different cultures. So be sure to stick around for those recommendations as well. And let's get started. All right, so one of the first websites that I want to show to you is this one. It's called Native Land. This is a website where you can look up information about which Native American groups historically lived on the land where you are currently, or really you can look up any place, but it's really a neat tool to use to see what land was historically inhabited by which groups and people. It is an app that you can also download to your phone. I've done that on mine. It's really great. So when you're traveling, you can kind of look up this information as you go. As you can see over here, you can look up the territories, you can look up the languages, you can look up treaties that were formed and their time frames, but it's a really great interactive tool. So I'm going to look up the zip code for my library branch, Mount Airy Branch Library. So that zip code is 21771. You don't necessarily need the zip code. You can look it up by town name, address, and it will focus in on the area where you are. So you can see here is Piscataway and Susquehannock. And you can move this out. And the website will tell you more information as well. You'll notice that there aren't modern day town names or state county boundaries. This really is a map of what this land looked like in terms of groups of people living on it before it was colonized by European settlers. So you'll see all of these really interesting overlaps of the groups as well. So I highly encourage you to use that. It's really, really fascinating. Like I said, you can put in any zip code. I'll look up Westminster, our main branch here. We'll put in their zip code and see what that comes up with. 21157. So here we go. So this is Piscataway as well. And you can see the outlying areas as it starts to include more and more groups. So that's a really great tool that I encourage you to look at if you're interested in who historically inhabited this area. And then also we have the resource of the National Park Service. So this is just giving us a little bit of information about the Chesapeake area, our state, the Mid-Atlantic states, and the American Indian tribes that we have here today. Not all of these groups and people who are living in Maryland today, of course, are necessarily descended from the groups that historically lived in this area, because as we know, many of those groups were either killed through disease or warfare, or moved out of areas through treaties and things like that. So it's not necessarily a straight lineage from the people who historically inhabited this area to the people who are here today. But there are a lot of Native Americans and Indigenous people living in this area today. So as you can see with the last census, it says here through the National Park Service, there were more than 40,000 individuals in Maryland who identified themselves as being American Indian or part American Indian. So down here you'll read a little bit more. Like I said, not all of the people are directly descended from Native Americans who lived historically in Maryland. There's a large group living in the Baltimore area, about 17,000 American Indians who are actually from a tribe with roots in North Carolina, the Lumbee. And then you'll be able to see down here farther in Maryland, these are some of the tribes that are in Maryland today. So there's the Accohannock Indian tribe, there's the Assateague Peoples tribe, Cedarville Band of Piscataway Indians, Now Swiwash Band of Indians, Piscataway-Conway Confederacy and subtribes, Piscataway Indian Nation, Pocomoke Indian Nation, and the Youghiogheny River Band of Shawnee Indians. A lot of people who are still living here today, who are Indigenous. So right in our neighboring county, right next door, we are lucky enough that there is the Baltimore American Indian Center. So like I said, we're going to focus today not on the history necessarily of the people who lived in this area, but the people who are here today and the issues that face them. So the Baltimore American Indian Center is a nonprofit group. They do actually have a center that you can actually go to and visit, a small museum and a gallery, and they have events regularly. They support and put on one of the annual powwows that happen in this area annually, which are just amazing, amazing celebrations and events of the various Native cultures who are around today. So there's a lot of information online as well. And just like a lot of us, they have some programming that they're doing online. So I highly encourage you, if you can go in person when it is safe to do so, absolutely check out the Baltimore American Indian Center and take a look at the information on their website. Additionally, of course, we have another amazing resource right next door in Washington, D.C. with the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian. Again, if you have the opportunity to go in person, it is an amazing experience. It's such a huge, huge museum with a plethora of information, not just about local Indigenous peoples, but about Indigenous people from our entire nation and continent. So they also have online programs, and they also have many, many online resources. So I encourage you to go there and learn more about any particular information that you're interested in, whether it is Native American art, Native American languages, history. There's just a lot of wonderful information about the various cultures that are kind of conglomerated into this general Native American category of Indigenous peoples. But with the online programs, I did want to point out they have this amazing Youth in Action series. So these are focused toward young people. You can see this next one coming up is Conversations About Our Future, Retelling the American Story. This is all online and free through the museum, and they have an amazing calendar with upcoming events. So if you're interested in becoming more involved and more educated on Native issues, historical and present day, I highly encourage you to participate in some of their programming as well. So I want to introduce you now to some contemporary Native American authors and their works. I'm going to focus on YA books for you guys, for teens and tweens. We do have a lot of books. I'll show you a few that are in the J section. There are a lot of great picture books and adult books as well that CCPL has, but we're just going to focus now on the YA books. This author, Tingle, he has many books out. He is a master Choctaw storyteller. So he's got many books. This is his most recent, Stone River Crossing. And it's a historical fiction. It's about the friendship between one enslaved black boy and one Choctaw girl. And it really explores some of the complexities of the United States history, and some of those bonds that were formed by Native American groups and some enslaved people in this country. And it's a history that you don't often hear. So he's a really great storyteller. There's a really wonderful author guide at the back and a pronunciation guide. But it's just a fantastic story. So if you're interested in historical fiction and a good story, Stone River Crossing is a great one to check out. And check out Tim Tingle's other books as well. Now for contemporary fiction, again, all of these are in our YA section, our young adult section. One of my favorite new authors is Dawn Quigley, and this is her book, Apple in the Middle. Like I said, this is contemporary fiction, so it's realistic. Apple's mother is Native American and her father is white, so she's really torn between these two worlds. And she's going to school. She really initially is rejecting her Native American heritage because she's called a racial slur, and she really kind of shuns off that kind of part of her life. But then something happens and she needs to revisit that and literally go and visit some of her relatives who live on the Turtle Mountain Indian Reservation in North Dakota. So it's a really, really great story. What I like about this, it's really super relatable, even if you don't have life that is anything like the main characters. It's really a universal story about fitting in and a coming of age story about finding out who you are and going back to your roots. So it's really fantastic. Again, there's an author's note at the back. There are recommended reading lists that the author gives. There are recipes. There's a glossary. It's a relatively quick read too, and another really enjoyable one that'll give you a really great perspective on some contemporary issues faced by Native Americans. So next we have Hearts Unbroken. So like the last book, this is contemporary fiction. It's by Cynthia Lightish Smith, and I've mentioned before too, and I'll mention again, she is an author who really promotes a lot of other authors. She has a writing blog. She has a lot of really great information on her website. So if you're interested in her writing or finding out more about other Native American writing, definitely check out her website. So this is a modern contemporary realistic fiction. It takes place in suburbia, a mostly white community. So the main character, Louise, she goes by Lou. She is Muskogee, or also referred to as Creek. So she's a minority in her school. She really is trying to navigate high school and first relationships and really deal with some of the racial tension and confronting some of the negativity that comes her way because of her race, because she's Native American. So a really great story again. Like I said, Cynthia Lightish Smith also has some other stories. You can check out her website. She's just fantastic. So still in the YA category, but slightly different than the historical fiction and the contemporary fiction. It's really great to see that there's now becoming all of these own voices books that are being put out. They're fantastic. It's really great to hear from different voices, but it's also great to hear, see them in all these different formats. So this one, Surviving the City, is actually a graphic novel. So it's fantastic. It's contemporary fiction again. It's just a fantastic story. It's about two Indigenous teens who are Canadian. One is Anishinaabe and one is Innu. And they are facing some serious issues. There are some issues in their community. Again, about violence against women and women who have gone missing. And this is an issue in Native American communities and our society and in North America in general, not just in Canada or the US. But so it's a little bit more serious, but it's in this graphic novel format. It's really short. It is actually the first in a new series, so the second one will be coming out soon. So look for that one. So another really, really great story, and also gives you some information in there as well about real life issues. And then this one that I'm going to show you, A Lot So. This is by Darcy Little Badger. This is this author's debut novel. Something that I am loving about this book. It is slightly thicker, but really not too terribly much longer. It's still less than 400 pages. Really well written story. It is a paranormal speculative fiction story. So it does have some realism in there. This teenager, Ellie, she is dealing with a lot of the regular things that you would think, but it's kind of taking place in this alternative universe, alternative place where there are ghosts and monsters. She is a teenager who has supernatural gifts, and she has a ghost dog. She is Lipan Apache, and she is trying to solve her cousin's murder. So before it happens again, basically. So it's really riveting. It's not too scary. It's not like a murder mystery thriller necessarily, but it's got that paranormal twist to it. Just fascinating. Like I said, it's a debut author, Darcy Little Badger, and I just love hearing new voices. It's just so fascinating. So a really, really great read. It's brand new, that just came out. So I encourage you to read that one. And then lastly, I'm going to show you a nonfiction book. This book is an adaptation from an adult book. So an Indigenous Peoples History of the United States. This is for young people, this version. There is an adult version that is just an Indigenous Peoples History of the United States. That was written by Roxanne Dunbar Oritz. The Young People's edition has been adapted by Jean Mendoza and Debbie Reese. So all three well-known educators, professors that are very active and vocal in the Indigenous movement. So this tells you about the history of the United States. There's just amazing, amazing information in here. So if you're looking for more information in book form, this is a great place to start. It really encompasses everything from, way before Europeans colonized this country to the present day. It also has a bibliography at the back for some more reading that you can do, as well as resources where you can find more information. So I highly, if you're interested in nonfiction or have read some of these fiction accounts and want to get some more information, I highly encourage you to check out An Indigenous Peoples History of the United States. So like I said, we have a lot of books in our collection at CCPL that are written about Native Americans, by Native Americans. You saw a variety of genres. I wanted to show you, these are also YA. He has some J books and YA. Joseph Bruchac has been around for a while now publishing books. He is another amazing storyteller who is Cherokee. So I encourage you to check out his books. He's a little bit better known, but And then we have some new books in the J section. There's a lot of crossover here with, you know, what you're reading. If you're a teen, adult, tween, there's a lot of crossover with reading in the J section, the YA section, and the adult section. So this one, David A. Robertson, The Barren Grounds, brand new out. It's getting really, really great reviews, and it is book one. It's going to be a series. Indian No More by Charlene Willing McManus and Tracy Sorrell. Some other really amazing Native American authors who have multiple books. And I can make this promise. This one by Christine Day. So those are some great recommendations as well from the kids section. So I hope you check those out. You can either put them on hold, pick them up with express service in physical format through CCPL on our website or by giving your local branch a call, or check out our ebook resources as well, because we have those available to you. So again, here are some of the titles that are available through CCPL for you guys to check out. You can do so by placing a hold and picking it up on our express pickup. You can go online to our website, which is www.library.carr.org, and look up some of our online resources as well if you prefer to have ebooks or audiobooks of these titles or other titles by Native American authors as well. I also encourage you to check out some of our other resources on our website. There are a lot of great resources out there if you have a particular interest and you're interested in to see what Indigenous people are involved in those areas that you have interest in. So if you're interested in race car drivers, there's information out there on Native American race car drivers, information on artists, music, etc., etc. So I hope this certainly goes beyond just November and you start getting interested in learning more about Native American individuals throughout the year as well. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our streaming service that is free through our website, Canopy. There are a lot of really amazing films and videos on there for you to learn more information as well. So here are some of the resources that we went over today that you can check out on your own and explore, and I hope that you do. In addition to some of the book recommendations that I've given you, also another great resource is the American Indian Library Association. They're an affiliate of ALA, or the American Library Association, so they have really great book list on there as well if you're looking for other ages or just a more expansive list of books. So I hope you all have a fantastic day and are staying safe and healthy, and I hope to see you again here soon.